like the whole YouTube TikTok thing. Like, I mean, shit's weird, but at the same time, it is just YouTubers going against TikTokers, or like Logan Paul against KSI. It's two YouTubers. This is Floyd. Like, this is like the I don't know, one of the best boxers ever going against a YouTuber. Like, that shit is weird. What's good, y'all? So in this video, I'm gonna be reacting to Logan Paul versus Floyd Mayweather. Their highlights from yesterday's fight. I was gonna watch it because I, for some reason, thought it was like free because it kept saying Showtime, and I was like, I have Showtime. Like, can I just watch it for free and not like pay? Blah blah. Stupid, right? No, I was not about to pay $50 for a fight that I low key already knew who was gonna win, because I saw some stuff on the Shade Room where they couldn't like give like a clear winner because of nobody was knocked out. I don't know. It was weird. But yeah, anyways, hopefully this man, it's not like a news page or anything. I think he's just going to like be explaining the fight, which is going to help because I don't know much about boxing. So let's just get into it.
This was going to be a legalized bank robbery, and it was, but it wasn't Logan Paul that he was robbing out of. It was, of course, the fans, because somehow the fight turned out to be even worse than expected. The first couple rounds, it was obvious that Floyd Mayweather was trying to be a bit responsible, not getting hurt. It's the same approach he went up against Conor McGregor with. Generally, not a lot of offense, gassing out the bigger man until punishing them in the later rounds. In the first round, Floyd was a little bit more elusive, a little bit more on the back step, as Logan Paul was looking for his jab, and Floyd was just feeling out the range and picking out his openings. In the next couple rounds, Floyd gets on the front foot action, pressures the bigger man a little bit more, heavy trunk movement, which he knew would trigger Logan Paul's power punches, where a more experienced boxer would know to move away in position before throwing the big punches. Right, Logan Paul saw, oh, head move? I punch head. And it's one of the reasons why you saw Logan Paul come out there with arm punches. Pretty much punches with no body behind it, which can make even the...
That's how girls be fight. Well, shoot, I've seen dudes fight like this too, when they're just like, it's just like swing, and I'm just like, what is he doing? Like, well, just. I don't really understand, because I feel like, especially what is it, hammer punches and stuff like that, they take so much energy out of you. Like, you're gonna be tired before you whoop somebody ass. You probably gonna get your ass whooped if you fight like that. So yeah, and I noticed that it was a clip on the Shade Room where he was like, or a clip on something where he was swinging, but he just looked wild. Like, it didn't look contained. I don't know.
Biggest men punch very weak, and ultimately, instead of just moving away from Logan Paul's punches, Mayweather was standing his ground in front of him, slipping the punches, and just walking forward, getting the bigger man to move away. Brought back his Philly shell, shoulder rolling punches. Mayweather's defense was definitely on point, but what you will see is his offense became a lot more telegraphed than before. This may be due to Logan Paul's reach and the fact that Mayweather had to cover more ground than ever before against any opponent, but I really don't think so, man. I think Floyd's age, the fact that he didn't really train for the fight, all of that took into account that he was just loading up, winging punches from a distance. It made it so obvious to the point that even Logan Paul saw them coming, where he's covering a lot of ground, cocking back his right hand before he throws it naked, or he's leaning to his left before he wings out a left hook, or just simply loading up his left hip before throwing the left hook. Logan Paul's able to see that one coming before the punch even flies out there. And this was the most frustrating part of the fight, because even though Logan Paul had many openings presented on himself, so many holes that Kevin Lee was losing his mind. I mean, the openings were there from a technical standpoint, a tactical standpoint, and just merely off reflexes. Floyd could act, and there's openings presented from the body to the head. He can react, and they're still there. Or he can cause Logan Paul to do something, manipulate him a little bit, and there's even more openings presented. Let's take this scenario as an example. Floyd walks in squared. Logan uses his first line of defense of posting out that jab in order to create space, and Floyd easily slips the punch and weaves right while taking that right step. A prime Floyd Mayweather, what he could have done here is take a wider right step, which settles his position in order to take a further outside step for either shifting it to the other stand.
Earn free crypto. Just
No.
Fade out with a big left hook to the liver. because as you can see, Logan Paul, when he pumps out this jab, he lifts his right arm above the ribcage. Floyd could have easily took a far out right step, creating a lot of momentum into a whipping left hook to the liver and fading out to that right side as he weaves. And it doesn't even end there. After the fade, he would have an advantageous angular position. What Logan Paul most likely would try to do is face Floyd Mayweather, but there's different ways of how you can do this. He can pivot and swing around his back foot, or he would step to the left with his lead foot, creating an even bigger opening on himself for Floyd to land his right hand or a left hook to the head. But instead of all that, what does Floyd do? He simply just walks forward and throws no punches at all. Walks forward into Logan Paul and gets into the clinch with him. Logan Paul did not show pretty much any kind of meaningful defense besides posting and pumping jabs, something that Floyd should be able to easily parry and slip around in order to attack freely. Logan Paul also had the shoulder bump into a clinch, which again Floyd should be able to use his footwork and get away or pivot around, and even the occasional, Logan Paul was slipping some of Floyd's attacks from a distance, and that was because some of Floyd's attacks from a distance were somewhat telegraphed. But the fact that Logan Paul had no real defense to him, and all he was doing was moving back, sometimes extending his lead hand at Floyd Mayweather, that was enough to cause Floyd to miss his shots like that. I understand he never fought a guy this long before, but even still at his experience, if he trained for the fight, he gauged the distance for the first couple rounds, he shouldn't be missing at the rate that he was from a distance like that. There were so many things that Floyd Mayweather could have landed on him, and a prime Floyd Mayweather, one who trained for the fight, took this fight seriously, instead of as a bank heist.
Yeah, I don't think he took it serious. I think that's what he's like. It was just an opportunity for money. And I didn't know he didn't train at all. That seems weird. But I think it was just like, it was so much hype behind it and everything that they could have literally done absolutely nothing and people had already paid for the fight. So it was just like, this looked like what they
would
did.
have absolutely blasted through these openings, man. But for the most part, Mayweather was dishing out his damage in close quarters. Logan Paul showed to be more durable than probably some people expected, and his gas tank definitely surpassed expectations. Now, even though this match was probably going to be frustrating or disappointing right from when they announced it, but I would have to say it's more on Floyd Mayweather's side that it became even worse than on Logan Paul's side. If you're taking the perspective of, you at least want to see some sort of entertainment, right? You want to see something fun happen. From a technical standpoint, of course, Logan Paul was not the one to look at. Logan Paul did what he had to do, right? I understand he was clinching up a lot and he was disengaging from action a lot of times besides throwing a lot of jabs and arm punches. I think a lot of people expected Mayweather to show out a little bit better in this one, especially for the money they were asking for in order to watch this match. But at the same time, the fight was not going to be great no matter what. It's a 44-year-old Floyd Mayweather versus Logan Paul. And Logan Paul pretty much used his size as a way to survive Floyd Mayweather. Even his coaches in the final rounds were asking for him to survive the fight. Don't do anything crazy and just go 8 rounds, because in that way you win. In a sense, yes. I mean, there are going to be a lot of fans who are going to look at this like Logan Paul lasted 8 rounds with Floyd Mayweather. Some are even going out and saying that Logan Paul looked better than Conor McGregor in the later rounds. But even though Floyd's offense is nowhere near the same as it used to be, his defense is still absolutely impeccable. Logan Paul was not able to land really many gloves on him. Floyd's counterpunching, his slipping, all that stuff was still something to appreciate, as it probably always will be. But man, this fight was something else. And they say there were no winners tonight, but there were. There were 2 winners, Floyd Mayweather and Logan Paul. They made a bunch of money, and they walk off. Nobody got knocked out. No judges were there to declare a winner. If there were scorecards, I would say Floyd won the fight. I thought Floyd was a couple rounds up, and honestly, man, this kind of stuff, in my opinion, does hurt the sport of boxing. The more it happens, the more it becomes popular. The more fights like this become a thing.
And I think it's different because, like the whole YouTube, TikTok thing, like, I mean, shit's weird, but at the same time, it is just YouTubers going against TikTokers. Or like Logan Paul against KSI. It's 2 YouTubers. This is Floyd. Like, this is like I don't know, one of the best boxers ever going against a YouTuber. Like, that shit is weird. And so that's when I think it makes it look weird. When it's just like people staying in their lane doing a thing together, it's different, but every video that I've said on this topic, I've been like, it's weird, like we're in the freaking Twilight Zone. Shit's weird.
There are going to be a lot of the casual boxing fans that are just going to be turned off by the sport and move somewhere else. When the Paul brothers become some of the biggest names in the sport, there's something wrong going on. I read somewhere that they were estimating the pay-per-view to be somewhere around 1 million buys. There are not a lot of boxers who are drawing a million pay-per-view buys, man. There's Canelo, there's maybe Tyson Fury with the right matchup. I don't know how Anthony Joshua does in the United States, but the fact of the matter is, there's not a lot of boxers who are generating that much attention in the sport. Now, for one, most people who are going to be watching the Paul brothers fight aren't going to be necessarily interested in boxing in the first place. Most of them are wanting to watch some sort of spectacle, be entertained somewhat, right? At least, like Jake Paul, even though he's repulsive, to a lot of people, his fights are pretty entertaining. Not to me, of course, but to a lot of people he is. He knocks people
Not
out.
to me.
It doesn't last that long. He talks a lot of stuff. He plays the villain very well. And now he's going up against Tyron Woodley, who's not a boxer. Both guys have one-punch knockout ability. Someone is going to get hurt in that fight, and that's what people want to see. Whether it's a high-level fight or a low-level fight, that kind of entertainment when it comes with the promotion, when the promoters get behind it, the way they shamelessly are, it's going to garner the attention that you see. Like I've been saying, man, it's not the boxers necessarily that are hurting their sport. It's the promoters. Not all of them, of course,
just
but
trying
there
to
are a
look
lot
for
of
money.
promoters.
At the end of the day, they just are looking for money and what can make them the most money. And if you're saying that a million people bought this at $50, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. And because Logan Paul has 20 million subscribers, so I'm honestly surprised it wasn't more people that bought it, because that's a lot of people. That's probably how the TikTok YouTuber thing is going to be. It's probably going to be a lot of money, a lot of buys, whatever. But yeah, the whole situation I thought was weird from the jump when Floyd agreed to it. I thought it was weird the entire time. And again, I don't watch boxing for real. I've watched a couple fights like at fight parties and stuff like that, but I don't know, it's just not for me. Because I saw one fight got really gory, and I was just like, ugh. I mean, I want to try boxing and everything, but yeah, I'm not that educated and all that stuff. The technical fighting, like, if we got to fight, I can fight, but technically, nah. So yeah, I just thought that the whole situation was weird. I heard that there was two fights before them, right? Like the undercard or whatever, and those were, or was it one? I don't know. But I know that those were okay fights, I guess. So I'm probably going to check those out just on my own time. But yeah, the entire thing was weird. I feel bad for y'all that paid for it, because shit, whatever. Y'all be safe though. Y'all make sure you know what you're buying though. Like, put thought into that, because that's $50 y'all ain't getting back. Anyways, y'all like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Instagram, follow me on Twitter, and I'll see y'all in the next one.